Patty Atkins disappeared on June 29, 2001. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Patty Atkins' last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. Single mom Patty Atkins vanishes in the middle of the night, and her family fears the worst.
I trusted Patty that she knew this man. You don't think the worst is going to happen. You don't think that's the last time that you're going to speak to your little sister.
Investigators piece together a disturbing picture of her life.
There's something wrong here. It just makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck.
She had said there can't be any paper trail of the money.
But will detectives get the break they need to unravel the mystery?
We checked airlines, we checked passports. We found no evidence of her just taking off.
Patty's loved ones wait for some sign of her, hoping it's not too late.
I don't think she would run away. Nothing would keep her from her daughter. There's no one who could convince me of that.
June 29, 2001. It's the Friday before July 4th in Marysville, Ohio, about 35 miles north of Columbus. 29-year-old Patty Atkins is looking forward to the week-long vacation known as Shutdown at the Honda factory where she works as an assembly line team leader.
They always shut down the week of 4th of July, and she was supposed to be going away on a trip with a coworker.
Her sisters remember Patty describing plans to go to Canada with an employee Patty says she has been involved with for a couple of years.
She told me, he really wants to take me up there. It's really pretty, and, you know, it'll just be our chance to be away from everything.
She was excited about her trip with her boyfriend. She was head over heels in love with this man.
Patty has worked as a Honda associate, as employees are called, since she was 19. One of the few women on the assembly line, she's hoping to get a promotion in the next few months.
Patty loved working at Honda. She had started at the bottom and worked her way up. Patty was good with people. She was excited about a test that she was taking to advance. She was ready for the next level of leadership.
When Patty isn't working, she dotes on her 7-year-old daughter, McKaylee.
For her birthday party, she had a slumber party, and Patty would dance with them and just have fun with her, snuggle with her. I can't think of anything she wouldn't have done for her. She adored her. She adored her, loved her so much. And McKaylee adored her mom just as much as her mom adored her.
Patty loved being a mother, and I loved seeing her smile when she looked at McKaylee.
Her sister Marcia recalls Patty planning the future she would build for McKaylee with the new man in her life.
She had talked to me about where they would live and that they'd talked about wanting more kids.
Patty, the youngest of 5 siblings, wasn't known to fall for guys easily.
Patty was independent. She was not one of those people who was never okay without a boyfriend. She wasn't willing to give up time with her daughter. It was uncharacteristic of her to be that trusting of a man.
That Friday, June 29th, in preparation for her trip, Patty brings McKaylee to stay with her ex-husband.
She was supposed to leave Friday night right after work. I was to get my niece Wednesday, and then Patty would be coming to my house to pick up McKaylee on Sunday, July 8th around noon.
Before heading to her 3:30 to midnight shift at Honda, Patty brings her pets to the vet to be boarded for the week. Since she and Marcia usually speak every day, Patty calls her sister one last time before her trip.
She was supposed to be going to a remote part of Canada, not in phone service area, so she wouldn't be able to call. She left me a message and said, I'll try to stop on the road, but if I don't talk to you, I'll just see you on Sunday. Kiss, kiss, I love my sis. That's just a thing my sister and I always said to each other. Kiss, kiss, I love my sis. That's how we said goodbye to each other.
It's the last shift before the week-long vacation. Patty has told her sister that she plans to drive straight from work to a cabin in Canada with her boyfriend in his pickup truck. When the shift ends, hundreds of Honda associates dash out of work, eager to begin their vacations. At 19 seconds past midnight, Patty Atkins clocks out of her shift. And and disappears. On Sunday, July 8th at noon, while McKaylee is playing, Marcia expects Patty to pick her up after the trip to Canada. But Patty doesn't arrive.
Hi. Called her house and left a message on the answer machine. That was around 12:30. When she didn't pick up, I guess I was just thinking they were running late.
Marcia is puzzled. It's not like Patty to be late without calling.
Called again at 1, 1:30. Half-hour increments that turned into 15-minute increments that turned into 5-minute increments. I was calling my sister, just repeat dialing. More time passed. I kept calling her house. She still didn't answer.
Marcia begins to worry. She calls the man Patty had said she was going away with. A woman answers the phone. It's not Patty. Coming up, did Patty ever make it to Canada?
So what did you do to her? I can't believe you're saying you don't know her.
Just after midnight on Friday, June 29th, 2001, Patty Atkins clocks out at the Honda factory in Marysville, Ohio, and vanishes. Patty had arranged to pick up her 7-year-old daughter, McKaylee, from her sister Marcia's house on Sunday, July 8th. When Patty doesn't arrive, Marcia calls her house. After a couple of hours, Marcia finally calls the man Patty said she was going away with. When a woman picks up the phone, Marcia isn't surprised. She knows it's the man's wife.
Patty had told me about someone who she was talking to at work, how much she liked, talking to him. He was so funny and things like that. And then spilled the beans that he was married. That he had a wife and kids, and I was like, oh, no, you don't want that.
Marcia remembers Patty describing why she felt so strongly about continuing a relationship with this married man.
Their relationship was more to her like this soulmate thing, being able to talk to him and tell him anything. All she ever talked about is they would just have these long talks, and he'd make her laugh. I think she thought that they would actually be married. To me, she had plans of a future with him.
From the information that he had given her, she didn't think she was breaking up a good thing. She thinks she just happened to come in on something that was bad. It was going to break up anyways. I don't think if they had a good marriage, Patty would have pursued it.
Patty's sisters made it clear they didn't approve of her seeing a married man.
I told her I thought she was being naive. People get played all the time. They always say they're going to leave their wives, and they don't, and you're just the mistress. But she felt like she had this incredible connection with him.
Marcia and Janine began to realize that talking their strong-willed little sister out of this romance was a losing battle.
I recall myself saying, well, if he's having an affair with you, what makes you think he's not going to do the same thing to you? And, oh, he loves me and he wouldn't do that to me. She had already made up her mind, and I just let it go, decided not to be judgmental.
She just basically brushed me off as, you just don't know him. But she knew better, that I should trust her judgment.
Patty's vision of a future with her soulmate led her to give him more than just her heart, as her friends and family would soon learn. In July of 2000, 1 year before Patty disappears, she visited her sister Janine in Miami, Florida. Patty had just recently told Janine she was involved with this married coworker when she revealed more surprising news on their way to get him a gift at the Hard Rock Cafe.
She wanted to get him a t-shirt from the Hard Rock. And then she started talking more about their future plans together, that he owned a business with his brother-in-law, and he was going to sell his share, and it wouldn't be in his name any longer. And that's when he was going to ask his wife for a divorce, and that way she would have no rights to his business.
According to Janine, it was then that Patty shared how she was helping make a future with this man a reality.
Patty told me that she had given him a lot of money. She had already given him maybe $20,000 so that he could pay off the business sooner, and that way they could be together sooner.
Janine tried cautioning Patty, who had been building a nest egg for about 10 years.
I questioned her about that. She's like, oh yeah, but he'll give me the money back after the divorce. Patty was always pretty good with her money, and it sounded like she had a plan. So I didn't push any further.
Patty's family knew well that she could be as generous as she was strong-willed.
It was shocking the amount of money she was helping him out with, but it was totally characteristic of Patty to help somebody out. To Patty, relationships were more important than any materialistic things. Once she decided she loved him, you know, I think she's willing to do anything for him.
When Marcia learned about the loan, she was less diplomatic about her concern.
What do you mean you're loaning him money? How much money? Are you crazy? You've worked all this time to save all this money, you know, and you worked so hard for it.
For every red flag Marcia tried raising, she only heard Patty respond with faith in her happily ever after.
Said to her, how's he going to pay all of that back? And she just said he has to start gradually paying it back. Kind of how she had lent it to him, you know, not in one big lump sum. She had said he had to start paying that money back in July.
Hours after Patty is supposed to walk through Marcia's front door, and more than a week after she clocked out of her Honda shift, Marcia is asking the wife of her sister's coworker if he's home.
I just said that I was inquiring about his business as something that I needed as a potential customer. She said he'd be back later in the afternoon. I thought that that was a good thing because that just meant they weren't back yet.
Marcia calls around to Patty's friends, but no one has heard from her. By 5 o'clock, Marcia is desperate to find Patty. She tries calling the man again. This time, he picks up. But Marcia is stunned by what she says she hears.
I said, where's my sister? I said, what do you mean? I said, Patty, my sister, you know, you guys went away. And he got quiet and got a little bit, I don't know how to describe, just different, like, Patty, oh, you mean from Honda? And like, you know, just kind of vague. And I said, yes. And he goes, well, you know, I don't know what you're talking about. Just stuttering, stammering. I said, what did you do to her? Because she left with you. I know she was leaving with you. I can't believe you're saying you don't know her. And then I panicked.
After hearing the man deny any relationship with Patty, Marcia is haunted by concerns she'd had all along about the trip to Canada.
I recall saying that I just really didn't like not being able to hear from her for a whole week. It just didn't sit well with me. Something didn't seem right about it.
Marcia calls her sister Janine, who is visiting their mom in Indiana.
She was really worried. I could hear the concern in her voice. She's like, Jeannie, Patty hasn't called. It was very unlike Patty. Patty always called to speak to McKaylee the moment she got back.
Since their mother is within earshot, Janine has to break the news about Patty.
I told my mom that Patty hadn't been seen, that we think she was missing. Told Mom what I knew, that she was supposed to go away with her boyfriend to Canada, and she just... she knew immediately it wasn't right. And to see your mother learn that news firsthand, the look on her face.
I was bawling and I was sobbing and couldn't even talk, and my husband was trying to find out what was wrong with me because I was outside because I didn't want to upset my niece.
At about 7 p.m. on the day Patty was to have picked up McKaylee, her sister Marcia calls the Marysville Police Department to report her sister missing. At 3 o'clock in the morning, sleepless with worry, Marcia calls the man again.
I basically said to the wife that I was Patty's sister. She was supposed to go away with your husband. She's been loaning him money over the past 2 years. She maybe spoke to me for about 15 minutes and then gave the phone to him. He was like, what makes you think that I knew your sister so well? And I just gave him details, you know, things she had said about the trip, gifts she had bought him. I knew that he had a motorcycle, you know, I knew all about his business, knew about his wife, knew about his kids, all these things. He would just ask questions, probing questions. In hindsight, I think they wanted to see how much I knew.
In the moment, Marcia can't fully take in what's happening.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd cried for probably 10 hours straight, so I wasn't really thinking, why is he asking me this? Later the next day, I was thinking about it. I had a conversation for 45 minutes with this guy and his wife. Why did they stay on the phone with me? Because I sure wouldn't.
After hearing the man's denial of any relationship with Patty, Marcia clings to the hope that police will find some evidence linking him to her sister's disappearance.
I don't think she would run away. Nothing would keep her from her daughter. There's no one who could convince me of that.
Coming up, investigators close in on the crucial moment Patty may have disappeared.
They thought that that was different because Patty was always the last one to leave.
July of 2001, Patty Atkins never arrives to pick up her young daughter, McKaylee. Patty is supposed to be returning from a week in Canada with a married coworker. After Patty's sister Marcia files a missing persons report with the Marysville Police, Detective Jeff Stiers and Lieutenant Jamie Patton from the Union County Sheriff's Office begin working Patty's case. When searching her house for clues, investigators find nothing that indicates what may have happened to Patty.
Nothing was torn up to suggest any sort of foul play. The doors were locked. Car was in the garage. It appeared that in her closets, in her drawers, all her clothes was there. It told me that whether she walked away or it was foul play, I don't think it happened here.
At this point, we had a missing persons report, and we didn't know what we had as far as if a crime had been committed. We took some financial records and Patty's computer for processing.
Detective Stiers interviews Patty's colleagues at Honda, including the team members who worked with Patty the night she disappeared.
That day, she had talked to everybody on her line and made it very clear that she wanted the area cleaned up and everything done so she could leave at midnight. In talking with the associates there, they thought that that was different because Patty was always the last one to leave. I met nobody that was able to tell me that they'd ever seen Patty leave first. So this was different. At midnight, everything was cleaned up. She left the line and was one of the first ones to punch the time clock. She went down the tunnel, she clocked out, got to the top of the stairs. That was the last time she was seen.
When Stiers questions associates, he learns Patty was sometimes seen talking with the married coworker.
They didn't think much about it because in her role as a team leader, it wasn't uncommon for Patty to walk around and talk to people. There was no flirtation around this coworker reported when talking with the associates.
But detectives get a different picture from a friend of Patty's at Honda. Since the friend doesn't want her name revealed, we'll call her Jane. Jane says Patty confided in her about her relationship with the married coworker.
Patty didn't talk about her personal life a whole lot, except for her close friends. Her friend said that Patty had told her she was being very quiet about this because the guy was married. Not many people knew the details.
Investigators learn that Patty only mentioned getting together with this man a handful of times outside of work.
It appears to be an emotional relationship between the two of them, because if it was physical, there wasn't a lot of it going on. They met, I think, 2 or 3 times. If they met more, she didn't tell anybody about it. The relationship between the two of them is kind of a mystery.
Patty's friend Jane recalls how happy Patty seemed whenever she'd visit the married man on the line, especially as the trip drew closer. It was the same excitement Marcia had seen in her sister. For Marcia, it was clear this trip held greater meaning for Patty than just a relaxing vacation.
In Patty's eyes, it was sort of the beginning of them getting to actually be together. Up to that time, they really didn't spend lots of time together other than seeing each other at work. And a handful of times maybe outside of work.
She thought if he was willing to spend a week with her up in Canada, that he must really mean it. He's going to follow through with this. If he's willing to take me and not her and the kids, then he's telling her the truth. He was going to leave his wife. She believes him. So she was excited.
As investigators interview Patty's closest friends and family, they learn that Patty's sisters, her best friend, and Jane were the only people whom Patty told about the trip to Canada. These few confidants tell detectives that the trip Patty described involved some surprising arrangements. Patty told her sister Marcia that she wasn't supposed to pack any clothes.
Supposedly they were going to buy all their stuff there, and I was like, well, if it's so remote, where are you going to buy anything? You know, what about food? Where are you going to sleep? She couldn't even give me a location. Just it was a remote place in Canada.
Jane recalls Patty's excitement about the trip as they drove to work that Friday.
Patty rode to work with her, leaving her vehicle at home, which she typically did not do. She typically drove herself to work. And the plan was that she would leave after work with this male friend.
Jane says that the alleged boyfriend would use a service truck from his business for the trip. Then, investigators get an important lead.
When shift was over, she was going to clock out just a couple minutes earlier than usual so she could sneak into his truck in the back bed of the truck.
The key to the plan involved something called a tonneau cover, a sturdy cloth that fits over the bed of a pickup truck. Jane tells authorities the same story as Janine, describing how Patty was to hide in the bed of the truck while her married coworker drove a carpool buddy home after work.
Patty was to get underneath that tonneau cover so that her coworker's friend did not know that she was in the back of the truck.
Once he dropped off his friend, she was to join him in the front end of the pickup truck, and they were going to go off to Canada.
Jane believes that Patty considered hiding in the truck to be part of the excitement of their secret trip, trusting they'd be spending their lives together. Patty's sister Janine remembers her reaction to the plan.
That struck me as odd, but she seemed happy and I didn't want to squash it. I trusted Patty that she knew this man. You don't think the worst is going to happen. You don't think that's the last time that you're going to speak to your little sister.
While the sheriff's team look into all possible leads, they now believe it's unlikely that Patty vanished on her own.
We checked airlines, we checked passports, and we found no evidence of her just taking off. Out of all the people that we spoke to, no one mentioned her, wanting to leave.
With Patty's loved ones telling detectives about her travel plans with the married man, as well as the loans and gifts she described giving him, investigators head out to interrogate him and search his property.
All friends of Patty's gave us the same information, not knowing that they had given us the same information. And so that's what made them credible.
Adding all those things up, the money, the relationship, it just makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck that there's something wrong here. A mother just doesn't leave her daughter and run off. Is it possible? Has there been cases of mothers running off and leaving their daughters? Sure, but with all the other factors that we're looking at, good job, promotion, she loved her daughter, it just didn't add up.
Coming up, police may be closing in on finding Patty.
The dogs kind of went nuts over the concrete. That made me hopeful, sick but hopeful.
On July 13th, 2001, 2 weeks after Patty Atkins is last seen, investigators head out to search the property of the married man Patty said she'd been seeing. Detective Jeff Stiers knows that investigators need to verify key information and evidence identified by Patty's friends and family.
We knew about the trip to Canada, all the money, the items that she had purchased for this coworker, such as a Hard Rock Cafe t-shirt. What we were looking for when we went there was anything that would link the coworker to Patty.
When authorities arrive at the man's home, he consents to a search of his property, as well as the business he co-owns in another town. While Lieutenant Patton and other officers head to the business with the man, Detective Stiers stays at the house to search the property and interview his wife.
She did not seem to have any knowledge of Patty Atkins. She denied him having an affair with Patty, said that it wasn't possible, you know. He goes to work and he comes home after work every night.
The wife tells police her husband came home the night Patty disappeared at about 2:30 a.m. She says he was home that week, doing projects around their property with a friend. As police begin searching, the man's wife leads them to a potential clue. It looks like the gift Patty got for the man in Miami.
We found the Hard Rock Cafe t-shirt. I don't believe the wife knew where that t-shirt came from.
Investigators' suspicions are heightened. They expand the search.
We brought in a canine, a cadaver dog, and we used that dog to search the property for Patty's body.
Suddenly, the dog begins indicating near some freshly poured concrete by the house garage.
Once that dog alerts, there's a possibility that a body had been laid here or is buried here.
According to the man's wife, it was leftover concrete from a construction project during shutdown week. Police send for a backhoe to begin digging up the spot.
That made me hopeful, sick but hopeful. As much as it sickened me to think of her under there, I wanted her to be found because then it would move the process forward a step. Because you just feel like you're in this constant standstill.
Meanwhile, investigators at the man's business have been questioning him about Patty.
Outside of knowing her at work, he denied any relationship whatsoever with her. He denied having any plans whatsoever to leave out of town with her. He denied accepting any money from her, and he indicated he was happily married and he had no plans of getting a divorce.
According to the man, the Friday that Patty was last seen, he left Honda around midnight with his friend, picked up some fast food, dropped his friend off, and went home. The friend later corroborates his story. Just as his wife tells Detective Stiers, the man says he was nowhere near Canada during shutdown week.
He worked mostly around the house all that week until that Thursday. He went fishing with a couple buddies, but he didn't go out of town any great distance.
He also denies knowing any remote cabin in Canada, leaving investigators unable to pinpoint an area where they might search for Patty. Finally, detectives ask the man about receiving any gifts from Patty.
He denied anything, but then later indicated he may have received a birthday card from her.
The man tells detectives that he ripped up the birthday card, thinking his wife might become jealous. Given that the man tells police he really didn't know Patty, Lieutenant Patton is intrigued by this detail.
I just don't all of a sudden get a birthday card from, somebody at work unless, we're really good friends. Maybe the unit goes together and, gives a birthday card, but individual birthday card in a plant of around 4,000 employees, I would think that would be a little odd if there wasn't more to it.
Investigators spot the business's pickup truck, which Patty had said would be used for the trip to Canada.
When we went to the business and we seen the truck, it had the equipment for a tonneau cover, but it was not on the vehicle, so that we knew that we had to search for it.
The man directs authorities to a storage loft, where they find the rolled-up cover. When questioned about it, the man says he ordered the cover a few days before the shutdown holiday began, then picked it up June 29th, the Friday that Patty was last seen.
June 29th, he picked it up early that morning and installed it on his truck. Approximately a week later, the tonneau cover was taken off and then stored and never put back on the truck after July 6th.
The man tells investigators he'd ordered the tonneau cover to protect his fishing gear. But investigators are curious about the short time span of the cover's use.
It didn't make sense for him to install it and not leave it on. They're not cheap. They're a couple $100.
The manager at the business tells investigators he specifically noticed the arrival of the cover. It had seemed like a strange choice to him.
His service manager indicated that he was surprised that he had purchased this tonneau cover because of what they use that truck for. They run parts, they run radiators, and they haul stuff on it, so it really didn't make sense putting that tonneau cover on that truck.
Authorities take the cover in for forensics testing.
They would look for any trace evidence on the tonneau cover, any foreign type material that's not supposed to be there. Hair fibers, bodily fluid, saliva are some examples.
Back at the man's house, police have dug a hole in the concrete slab where the cadaver dog detected the possible presence of human remains.
We got the call and they didn't find anything. There was no sign of her. That was disappointing. It's like back to square one. No answers, more frustration.
The search effort expands as law enforcement sends teams across several counties to find Patty.
We conducted organized searches with Honda, Marysville Police Department, the Sheriff's Office. We also had volunteers on foot searching. It was a large area.
Patty's family, desperate to find any sign of her, also assembled search parties.
We went up and down railroad tracks and tree lines, creeks and trails, little country roads, cornfields, went through lots of fields. Just random places, hot days, lots of bug bites. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack, literally.
With no sign of Patty, and the man she called her soulmate denying any affair with her, forensic evidence may be the only way investigators can confirm whether Patty got into his truck that night. Coming up, investigators find evidence that might finally connect Patty with her married coworker.
It puts, in our mind, Patty in that truck, under that tonneau cover.
Patty Atkins' family and loved ones believe the man she said she was having an affair with may be responsible for her disappearance. Investigators searching his business locate the truck covering under which Patty was supposed to have hidden for a secret trip to Canada. Now, as detectives wait for forensic lab results, they review Patty's financial records for some sign of the thousands of dollars in loans her friends and family say she'd been making to him. Investigators find significant withdrawals from her accounts.
$30,000 taken out of her 401k, $25,000 on a second mortgage, cash advances out on her credit cards. She cashed in stock. From around 2000 until 2001, roughly about a year, year and a half, $90,000 is exactly what we could show she took out.
Yet while authorities can document the money Patty liquidated, when they examine the man's accounts, there's no evidence he received this money from her.
We can show she pulled the money out, but we can't track it from that point on.
I had one time said to her, do you have any kind of proof of it? Or are you keeping like a promissory note? She had said, no, we can't actually sign something because if she finds out, then she'll know, and then he's gonna call it off, so there can't be any paper trail.
With still no solid evidence linking Patty to the married coworker, detectives wait for forensic results from the tonneau cover. In the meantime, search teams continue canvassing the area for any leads on the 29-year-old single mom's whereabouts. Patty Atkins has been missing for 5 weeks when the crime lab contacts investigators with a key lead.
Blood was found to be on the underneath side of the tonneau cover, along with cat hairs.
Now, detectives need DNA analysis of the blood and cat hair to see if this trace evidence could have come from Patty and her pets. Investigators speculate the cat hair could have rubbed off of Patty's clothing. They send the hair sample to a lab in Texas, one of the few that tests animal DNA. While scientists evaluate the evidence, Patty's family wrestles with questions about what may have happened to her.
Nighttime comes and you try to go to sleep and thoughts start racing in. It's just a crushing pain. Like somebody's squeezing your heart and they won't let go. You know, just thinking, oh, if you could just get so lucky and actually find something.
Finally, investigators get a break in the case.
The lab down in Texas was able to confirm that some of the hairs taken from the tonneau cover matched Patty's cats.
There's a short window of opportunity that tarp's even on the truck. And then it's rolled up and stored above his office area. So how do you explain Patty's cat hair on the bottom of that tonneau cover? It puts, in our mind, Patty in that truck, under that tonneau cover.
For Patty's family, the news brings bittersweet consolation.
My first reaction was that we had some hard evidence, you know, besides just the hearsay that she had plans with him, that she had a relationship with him. Patty was in the back of that truck, and he definitely knows something that, you know, he's not telling the police.
Investigators and the Union County Prosecutor's Office consider Patty's married coworker to be their main person of interest in what they believe is a homicide case. Meanwhile, investigators have been working to determine whether the blood found on the tonneau cover could be Patty's. The crime lab tells detectives that the blood sample is tiny, just a speck.
How it was described to me is if you would kill a mosquito, the amount of blood that you're going to get out of a mosquito is the amount of blood that was found on the tonneau cover.
Unfortunately, forensics says this presents a problem.
If that sample was tested, it would consume the entire sample.
The crime lab advises Union County Prosecuting Attorney David Phillips that DNA testing on the blood sample might not give conclusive results.
The technicians contacted law enforcement, contacted our office and said, wait, hopefully the forensic technology will enable us to test it with a much higher degree of confidence. And so we've waited.
Since forensics technology is constantly evolving, the prosecutor agrees to hold off on testing and wait for more advanced methods.
We could present the case to grand jury, ask them to consider is there sufficient evidence, but you can only try someone once. And so if we found the evidence at a later date, if the evidence showed, yes, that was her blood, we'd never get another opportunity.
Several months after Patty goes missing, Marcia has a candid conversation with Patty's daughter, McKaylee.
She asked me, do you think Mommy died? I said, yeah, you know, I think Mommy's in heaven. I think that's the only thing that would keep your Mommy from you. It's sad. It's sad to think she's lost her mom.
That moment crystallizes the sinking feeling Marcia and Patty's family have had since that Sunday in July.
From the moment he told me he didn't know her, I never had any hope that my sister was going to be found alive. The fact that she didn't come get her daughter, to me, was the sign that she was dead. There's nothing that would have kept her from her daughter.
I feel like there's something that you should have done to protect your baby sister. She was always there for other people, and we felt like we should have been there for her.
while Patty's family hope for a resolution to her case. Cherished memories may be their only comfort.
My sister used to call me at midnight to be the first one to wish me happy birthday. So it would be like 12:01 and my phone would ring. Sometimes I think I wait for my phone to ring. I want to hear her say, "Kiss, kiss, I love my sis," again. Anyone who has a sister they're close to, it's more than losing your sister. It's like losing a best friend.
Now, years after the speck of blood is found on the tonneau cover, the wait may finally have paid off.
Every so often we call the lab, and recently we have learned that technology is just around the corner. It's going to be very soon that that test can be done without consuming that entire sample.
Forensics might soon confirm whether the blood is Patty's, possibly linking the married coworker to her disappearance. Meanwhile, the sheriff's office still pursues every lead that comes in, hoping to bring some peace to Patty's family.
Patty's daughter is now 16 years old. No doubt has many questions and wonders what happened to Mom. As an investigator, as a father, I would love to give those answers to her.
Watching McKaylee grow up over the years has been a joy. She's a really good heart, just like her mom, very loving. I know my sister would be so proud of her, and I tell her that all the time, how proud her mommy would be of her.
Ultimately, her loved ones know that Patty will live on by inspiring those she left behind.
She had the biggest heart of anyone I knew. I just try to have a heart like Patty did for my friends and my family. That was the best thing about Patty, was her heart.
Vaughn disappeared on Wednesday, December 25th, 1996. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Patty Vaughn's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. When a dedicated mother's minivan is found abandoned on the side of the road, panic ensues.
She had been gone for more than 24 hours.
I kept thinking I was gonna look in one of those drainage ditches and Patty was gonna be in there.
Investigators soon find hints of foul play.
There was blood found in the van.
And then, a look into Patty Vaughn's past reveals a complicated love triangle.
They had a huge fight. She got angry, got in her van, and left.
Could problems in a relationship have led to murder?
I don't think anybody else has the motive or the opportunity.
You just can't focus on one person. We are going to solve this case.
It is Christmas Eve, 1996, near San Antonio, Texas, where the festive city streets are glowing with holiday cheer. At Lavernia United Methodist Church, 32-year-old mother of three Patty Vaughn performs for an intimate Christmas celebration.
Patty has probably been singing before she talked. She had just a very sweet, soothing voice, almost like a songbird. She really enjoyed it. They just created such great music together.
Patty was very proud of her music group. Singing with them was one of the things in life that gave her peace.
Church was huge in Patty's life. Patty's relationship with God was right up there with her relationship with her children.
While Patty carols on the altar, her husband Jerry Ray Vaughn and their three young children watch from the pews. Although the Vaughn's marriage has been strained lately, they are committed to keeping their relationship amicable.
Patty would never complain. You look at her family, and it was cookies and cream. Everything was perfect.
But once the service ends, Patty and JR, who have been separated for over 2 months, part ways. Patty and the children head over to her aunt's house, where they will meet up with Patty's old flame, a man named Gary, while JR drives back to his apartment in San Antonio.
It was going to be a wonderful Christmas because we were going to have Patty and Gary and the children.
Patty Vaughn and Gary's relationship has a long and complicated history. Patty was 18 years old in 1982 when she met Gary. She fell in love with the young Texan after moving to San Antonio with her family.
They had mad, crazy love for each other back then.
They had quite a serious relationship, and I think had the circumstances been different, I think they probably would have stayed together. But a few months after they had been seeing each other, his ex-girlfriend came to him and told him that she was pregnant with his child. And out of a sense of obligation, he broke it off with Patty. Patty was devastated, was totally devastated.
Emotionally scarred from the breakup, Patty kept herself busy. She was waiting tables while attending classes at a community college.
She was working at a little hamburger joint. JR came into the establishment. He was a little bit older than Patty. Then they had known each other for a couple of years and got married.
Patty and J.R. Vaughn were married on May 18, 1985. For 11 and a half years, the couple worked at making a life together. They had a family construction contracting business and 3 children. But despite many solid years together, by the fall of 1996, Patty realized she was unhappy.
She was being torn apart inside and everything was falling apart, but my brother best described it as her being a one-legged duck, smooth and graceful on top, but paddling like hell underneath.
Finally, on Columbus Day weekend 1996, Patty and Jerry Ray decided it was time to separate and reevaluate their marriage. By the end of October, JR had moved out of the family home in Lavernia and into an apartment in San Antonio.
She stayed in the family home. That was a mutual decision between Patty and JR, I think, at the time, for the sake of the children. And I remember when we knew that they really had separated, it was like the weight of the world had been lifted from her shoulders. And she was happy.
And then, just weeks after the separation, Patty confided in her cousin Kathy that she had been communicating again with the man who had captured her heart so many years earlier.
She had told me that Gary had divorced and that she was really excited because they were talking again.
I think it was just part of her remembering who she was, you know, remembering all the good stuff about herself.
When Patty, Gary, and her children arrive at Aunt Jean's house on Christmas Eve, the celebration has already begun. Patty worries how the new man in her life will be received.
Patty felt very guilty because she was still married to JR. And that part of her, that conscience, that moral issue was always there with her. Am I doing the right thing? Am I going to be called a bad mother?
But her family welcomes them both with open arms.
Basically, we all just always told her, you're a good person, you know what's right for your life, so just follow your heart.
As far as Christmas Eve at the house, I mean, it was perfect.
The party comes to an end around midnight. The family wishes each other a Merry Christmas and says their goodbyes.
Patty gave me a big old hug and said, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And that was it. I mean, it was no different than any other night.
But unbeknownst to all, this is the last Christmas they will ever share together. Coming up, an explosive argument on Christmas Day tears a family apart.
She got angry, got in her van, and left.
After an 11-year marriage, Patty Vaughn and her husband JR have decided to split up. Although conflicted about her decision to separate, Patty has been seeing an old boyfriend. On Christmas Eve 1996, Patty openly shares her rekindled relationship with her extended family. All goes well. At the end of the night, the family exchanges hugs and wishes each other a Merry Christmas.
We really didn't make any plans for Christmas Day because we knew that her plans were to have JR over.
It's Christmas morning, and Patty's husband JR arrives at the family home around 8 o'clock. Despite their recent difficulties, Patty and JR have agreed that it's best to spend Christmas Day together as a family for the sake of their children.
He was to arrive early in the morning, do the Santa Claus thing with the children, and then they were having dinner with the Vaughn family at their home later in the afternoon.
If all goes well, Patty and her boyfriend Gary will spend time together Christmas night after the Vaughn clan leaves to go home. Her aunt will take care of her children.
She had made plans later to go to a movie, and we were supposed to babysit the children.
But Christmas Day turns to night, and Patty never shows up to drop off the kids as planned, nor does she call to cancel.
Wasn't surprised that I didn't hear from her, and just figured with everything going on and with all of her in-laws coming over, I just figured maybe everything was going great and they were playing with the kids and having a nice dinner.
We really didn't panic a lot until my daughter got the phone call the next day.
The day after Christmas, Patty's cousin Kathy and her mother are at home when the phone rings. It's a call that will change their family's lives forever.
JR called me on the evening of the 26th. When I answered the phone, he immediately asked me what time it was, then asked me if I'd seen Patty.
JR tells her no one has heard from Patty for over 24 hours.
He said that she had been gone since the previous day, that they had had a huge fight, that they had been fighting off and on all day Christmas Day, and that she got angry, got in her van, and left. She had been gone for more than 24 hours, and we were just now finding out about it.
From what JR tells Kathy, he was not initially worried because he thought Patty had been with Gary. But then, JR breaks bewildering news to Kathy. He tells her Patty's minivan was found abandoned earlier that day, 17 miles from their home. The blue-gray Dodge Caravan was left on the side of the road with a flat tire. Patty's boss was heading back to work after lunch when he noticed the minivan sitting idly on the shoulder. He recognized the vehicle as Patty's and expected to find her at the office just 2 miles down the country road. But Patty wasn't there.
Nobody there had seen her. It was one of her bosses who had called JR and said, hey, Patty's van's sitting on the side of the road with a flat tire, and Patty didn't show up for work. They were concerned too, very concerned, because that was not like Patty to not come to work and not call.
He notified Patty's husband, Jerry Vaughn, who was, I guess, willing to meet him halfway to give him a set of keys to the van.
Patty's husband told her boss over the phone that he didn't have time to drive to where the minivan was found. He was on his way to file for divorce. His plan was to shock Patty into abandoning her relationship with Gary by presenting her with divorce papers. On his way to begin the proceedings, JR met Patty's boss to hand over the keys so the minivan could be moved.
Her employer just changed a flat tire, took it to the shop, and it was later found out that, nobody knew where Patty was.
Later that day, when Patty's cousin Kathy gets off the phone with JR, she shares the baffling news of Patty's departure with her mother. Right away, they are extremely concerned and start making frantic phone calls to track down Gary, the man Patty has been seeing.
He had not seen Patty since Christmas Eve night at our house. He was totally in a state of shock and immediately came to our house to offer to help in any way he could.
Whether Gary is being truthful or not, she is still missing.
There was obviously something wrong. Patty was missing.
Kathy calls the Bexar County Sheriff's Office to file a missing persons report. The family fears Patty might have been abducted after asking the wrong person for help on the side of the road. But since she has not yet been missing for 72 hours, there is not much police can do.
She hadn't been missing long enough. Her being over the age of 18, she can come and go as she pleases.
After several calls, police finally agreed to take a missing persons report over the phone. Then, feeling helpless, Kathy and a friend head out into the dark of night to the place on the side of the road where Patty's van was left with a flat tire.
Patty would have fought like heck if somebody had grabbed her, so there's got to be a shirt sleeve or a shoe or something somewhere, and so we just walked with the flashlight out there looking. Honestly, I kept thinking I was gonna look in one of those drainage ditches and Patty was gonna be in there. Maybe beat up, raped, I don't know, but she was gonna be in there because it doesn't happen to your family.
Coming up, the search for Patty dramatically changes course after a startling discovery.
Somebody intentionally let the air out of that tire.
"24 hours after Patty Vaughn's family sees her alive and well at a get-together on Christmas Eve, the 32-year-old mother is nowhere to be found. Jerry Ray Vaughn, Patty's estranged husband, was the last known person to see her on Christmas Day. He says she stormed out of the house after a volatile day of arguing. But Patty's extended family senses something is deeply wrong. They don't believe she would have left her 3 young children and not returned home.
These 3 children are her life, and she's gonna get mad enough to walk out and leave them? Not in a million years.
Jean, Patty's aunt, starts to make calls to see if anyone has heard from Patty since Christmas. She begins with Patty's immediate family living in Georgia and finds that Patty's youngest sister did indeed talk to her on Christmas Day.
I called her Christmas. It was probably about 10:30 Texas time.
JR answered the phone. Jeannie wished him a Merry Christmas, told him she loved him, and asked to speak to her sister, Patty.
He put Patty on the phone, and I could tell she had been crying, and she tried to tell me she had a cold. But I knew the difference, so I let it go.
Jeannie had formerly lived with Patty and JR and was very close to her sister's family.
He was a really nice guy. We had a good relationship. He was more of a brother than an in-law. I asked him to give me away at my wedding when I grew up, so.
But Jeannie was aware that Patty and JR's separation had not been easy. So when she heard the heaviness in her sister's voice on Christmas Day, she couldn't help but worry.
She assured me once again before we got off the phone that everything was fine, and that was the last time I talked to her.
That call only makes her family more concerned and desperate for answers. 2 days later, Patty's cousins, Barb and Kathy, head out to Quinney Electric, Patty's employer, where the minivan has been sitting since the previous day. But when the sisters inspect what is believed to be a blown-out tire, what they find changes the game in the search for their cousin.
Had Patty been driving to work down that road and gotten a blowout or a flat tire, there would have been some damage to the tire and to the rim. It was perfect. It looks like it went flat right where it sat.
To test their theory, the tire is reinflated. As they suspect, it holds air. Patty's cousin Kathy once again calls the police, who now agree to open an investigation before the 72-hour period passes. Investigator Adrian Ramirez, at the time an evidence technician, is one of the first to examine the car back in 1996.
The tire didn't appear to have any damage to it. It didn't have any kind of tearing on it. It didn't have any kind of markings on it, which led us to believe somebody intentionally let the air out of that tire.
It does not take long for the CSI team to conclude what they have on their hands is much more than a woman who voluntarily left her family.
The van was extremely clean, which caught our attention.
Considering the vehicle carts around 3 children under the age of 10, this cleanliness is a red flag.
The interior of the van appeared to be washed out, some type of detergent or water. There was water in the actual van itself. It was a colored, stained water. Samples were taken from all through the van.
Police suspect the muddied water in the van is tainted with blood, but they can't be sure. They submit samples for testing to the Bexar County Forensics Lab. Next, the investigators dust for fingerprints. The vehicle seems to have been wiped clean, but they eventually recover a single set of prints that are not Patty's. After checking local and national records, investigators cannot determine whom they belong to. While the Bexar County Police Department is involved in processing Patty's van, Jean, Kathy, and Barb are working non-stop to mobilize a search team. Patty's husband stays home to mind the children.
The first day, we had, I think, over 500 volunteers just through the local media.
By the end of the day on Friday, December 27th, hundreds of people have gathered at the location where Patty's van was found. Barb and her mother Jean head over to Patty's house to obtain scent articles for the search dogs. While there, Patty's cousin Barb has a brief encounter with Patty's 9-year-old daughter.
She ran out and hugged me, and she was very upset, and I said, "It's okay, we'll find your mommy."
As the clock ticks, Barb and Jean know the chances of Patty being found alive are fading fast.
They had some dogs that had a scent towards a pond in there where her van was found.
The handler follows her dog Vip to a small stock pond that's 50 feet wide and 3 feet deep. It's a place well hidden off the country road. Could someone have disposed of Patty's body here after dumping her car? The search begins at the pond.
They had the Bexar County dive team and other assistants from different organizations. And a search was conducted in the pond area.
We did drag the pond. There was nothing there.
Although the pond yields no new evidence, the search teams expand their hunt to the surrounding areas. No stone is left unturned.
Complete strangers came to help our family. I can't tell you how many trash cans we jumped in. Dump sites, quarries, places that you just would never think you would have to look for somebody that you care about.
On Sunday, December 29th, the official search for the missing mother of 3 ends. Coming up, a routine search of the Vaughn residence reveals a harrowing clue.
It was hard not to think that something horrible had happened in that house.
When Patty Vaughn's minivan is found with a flat tire on the side of the road, almost 24 hours after she is last seen, her family believes Patty might have been abducted. But it quickly becomes clear that the air was deliberately let out of the tire, and there appear to be traces of blood in the van. A 3-day search for the missing woman has turned up nothing. Investigators move quickly to question anyone in Patty's life who could have had motive to make her disappear.
In a case like this, you have to go in with an open mind. We strongly believe this was somebody that Patty knew, that Patty is very close to.
Investigators know that there are 2 very important men in Patty's life: JR, her estranged husband, and Gary, Patty's former boyfriend, who is now back in her life. They start by questioning Gary. Police learn that Gary drove by Patty's house the day she went missing, when they weren't supposed to see each other until later that night.
He and his sister had been out driving for whatever reason, and he asked his sister if they could drive by Patty's house.
According to Patty's aunt, Gary says that he saw Patty's minivan and JR's truck in the driveway. The kids were out playing in the front yard. Is it possible that seeing the Vaughn family together on Christmas made him jealous? Patty's family says there is no way that Gary could be involved in Patty's disappearance.
We heard rumors that Patty had decided to reconcile with JR, and Gary couldn't stand that, so he had decided to do away with her. Just crazy scenarios. The fact that he was with his entire family all day Christmas and into the night, way after the hour that Patty supposedly left in her van, kind of blows a hole in that theory.
The first person that helped us look for her was Gary. He volunteered to the police, please give me a lie detector test. He was with us on almost every search. He helped pass out flyers. He was a big part of that.
Gary denies having a part in Patty's disappearance. He passes a polygraph and gives no reason for police to believe he is a suspect. But because of the nature of his relationship to Patty, it is impossible to rule him out entirely. His eventual death in a tragic car accident will keep police wondering.
Gary, like anybody else, has always been considered a person of interest.
As investigators dig deeper into Gary and Patty's relationship, they look into an incident that happened just 2 weeks before Patty went missing. It makes them concerned that more people, other than just JR or Gary, may have been upset with Patty Vaughn at the time of her disappearance.
A member of their church out in Lavernia had seen Patty having lunch with Gary at a Dairy Queen, a very romantic place to have lunch, and went back and reported to the minister at the church that Patty was a married woman and he didn't think it was proper for a married woman to be having lunch with a man other than her husband.
Later that week, while rehearsing at church with her Christian folk singing group, Patty is publicly scorned because of her alleged infidelities.
The minister of the church called Patty in at choir practice one evening in front of all of the members and told her that she did not deserve to represent the church as a member of the singing group. That started a snowball in the community.
She had nothing to hide. She didn't think she did, until the church ostracized her like they did.
There was a lot of division from what we understand. Some opinion was that this friend that she had was not a good idea because she was still technically married. There's other opinion to where, well, they were already in the midst of a separation and going to get divorced. There were a lot of personal attacks on Patty, and that's something she had to struggle with.
While hundreds of volunteers continue to flock to the fields, searching for any sign of Patty, investigators are honing in on the Vaughn residence, the last place Patty was seen alive. The Bexar County Sheriff's Department Crime Scene Unit pays Jerry Ray Vaughn a visit later that day.
Jerry gave his consent to process the residence. Everything seemed to be normal. We then examined different areas of the interior of the residence.
The evidence technicians make their way through the Vaughn's home to search Patty and JR's bedroom. According to JR, Patty spent a good portion of the afternoon on Christmas Day in the bedroom, upset. The emotional upheaval started early on Christmas morning, soon after JR arrived. He says the fighting between him and his wife began over Patty's new relationship with her old boyfriend, and how it was spilling over into their family life.
He felt that it was wrong that his children be subjected to that, and they weren't even divorced.
As the fighting between JR and Patty escalated, it became increasingly clear that hosting the Vaughn family for Christmas was not the best idea. When JR's sister Marilyn and her son showed up for dinner, JR told them Patty wasn't feeling well and asked them to take the children over to his younger sister's house for Christmas dinner. When the children left with their aunt, Patty and JR remained in the house alone.
We believe that Patty and Jerry Vaughn needed some time to talk, and they're probably going to work on some things.
But according to JR, this was when the arguing turned into an all-out war, culminating with divorce threats.
He had threatened her that with what he had on her, not only could he take back control of his house, he could take his children too, and she would never see them again.
According to JR, his goal was to show Patty he meant business and that it was high time to stop exhibiting inappropriate behavior around their children.
Supposedly, she grabbed her purse and her keys and left, and nobody has seen any of those items.
There are no witnesses that have come forward that can tell us they saw Patty leave that residence.
JR believes Patty became the victim of foul play after she left the house. 4 days later, the CSI team enters Patty and JR's bedroom, one of the last places Patty was seen before she vanished. They notice several stained indentations in the linoleum floor and begin their testing with luminol, a chemical used to indicate the possible presence of blood. Relegated to a neighbor's yard, Patty's anxious family members look on from afar.
We knew that they were going to be doing the luminol test, and we wanted to be right there in case they found anything.
But according to police, JR's sister Marilyn is inside the house and interrupts the investigation with a barrage of questions.
That particular time when we first processed the residence, there was some type of interference with the sister. And she's being protective of her brother.
While one officer leads Marilyn out of the bedroom, the other continues the luminol testing. What he finds could be proof that something violent happened there. There are visible positive results in the master bedroom, closet, and bathroom. But knowing that luminol also detects cleaning detergents, it is impossible to say if the reaction is from blood or bleach.
Luminol not only reacts to blood, it also reacts to copper and other chemicals, such as bleach. So it is strictly a tool to help you search for any kind of biological evidence.
Then, according to police, further disruptions from JR's sister while examining the positive results in the bathroom caused them to leave. The next day, when the search continues, the evidence technicians return to the areas where the luminol test was positive. They then follow a trail on the bedroom floor to uncover a few drops of blood. A bucket and mop in the garage also test positive under luminol.
Some blood evidence had been found behind a baseboard of the master bedroom. It was hard not to think that something horrible had happened in that house.
But investigators cannot be sure. They must now prove the blood found in the van and in the house is in fact Patty's blood. And if it is, with only a small amount of blood discovered, it will be hard to prove a crime was committed in the Vaughn's home.
What makes it tough here also is that unless there is an abundance amount of blood at a crime scene, it doesn't give you the amount you need to consider a person deceased.
Patty's family isn't as cautious in its assessment of the evidence against JR.
The house was never cordoned off as a crime scene. When they found the blood in the home and the blood in the van and she was missing, they allowed JR and his sister Marilyn to be in the home while they searched. And there's something not right there.
Coming up, suspicions arise when tips flood in about one of JR's construction sites.
Some workers were pouring concrete and they wanted us to go away.
Young Texan mother Patty Vaughn has been missing 4 days, and police have probable cause to call it homicide. Blood found both in her minivan and behind a baseboard in her bedroom is a strong indicator to investigators that Patty has met a violent end. But just as the investigation into Patty Vaughn's disappearance seems to be heating up, there is a jurisdictional issue. Although the abandoned van was in Bexar County, the Vaughn house is not. Just weeks after Patty goes missing, former detective for the Wilson County Sheriff's Department, John Martinez, is handed the case. After reviewing the details of the investigation, he asks to speak to J.R. Vaughn.
The interview took approximately 4 hours. It was a roller coaster interview, a lot of discrepancies, a lot of voids. At the time of the interview, I was not convinced with any of Mr. Vaughn's answers.
It is becoming apparent to JR that people are beginning to point the finger at him as the reason why his wife is missing. He says he has no clue why there was blood in the van, since whatever happened to Patty transpired after she left the house Christmas night. As for the blood in the bedroom, he insists he has nothing to hide and has no idea where it came from.
Shortly thereafter, he retained an attorney and was advised never to give another statement. A polygraph was offered to him, which he declined.
Knowing he might be the only surviving parent, JR says he feels he must protect himself at all costs.
I would say that Jerry Vaughn is one of our main persons of interest. It would have to take a serious amount of explaining as to questions we have regarding the incident on Christmas Day.
JR hasn't had to explain anything. JR's made all the rules.
There has been no explanation as to why the van was cleaned out and or the presence of blood at both scenes.
Although most people connected to the case believe that tests will soon verify the presence of Patty's blood, results are still pending. In the meantime, without any hard evidence against JR, police are unable to name him a suspect. But as the investigation continues, they receive information that makes them suspicious. 2 days before Patty goes missing, he makes plans to vacate his apartment. In a letter dated December 23rd, JR asks his landlord to break his lease. Although he tells police it was because the area felt unsafe, the timing of the letter makes them question his actions.
He moved back in the day Patty disappeared, and 3 days later her voice was changed on the voicemail, and his clothes were in the closet.
JR says his move back into the family home on December 25th was not planned. The heated fight between him and his wife pushed him to the limit. He told her to get out.
Supposedly, after she stormed out after a heated argument on Christmas night, he called a locksmith to change the locks.
JR was standing his ground, and he was going to take back what was his, which was his home and his children.
More than 3 months after Patty disappeared, police finally have the test results confirming that the blood found both in the van and the house has indeed been identified as Patty Vaughn's. But that is still not enough for an indictment.
There's not a body. There's no evidence that connects the two. And it's very hard to present that to a grand jury and try to make a case.
Nonetheless, JR's increasingly uncooperative behavior keeps family and investigators acutely alert.
We were not allowed back in the home, and we were allowed to see the children again.
The children were not allowed to be questioned, whether it be at the school or whether it be at the church. Their father made it a point when they attended Bible studies that he was there. As an investigator, it sends a red flag.
But JR says that police had not asked to question the children, and he has cut off contact with certain members of Patty's family because he is aware they think he might have harmed Patty.
He would not leave the house. He would not help us on the searches.
JR was getting members from the search parties to call him and give him updates. Where you're searching, how long you're going to be there, where you searching tomorrow.
You would think that a person would be more involved in a search. However, everybody reacts different. Some will help, some will decide to stay away and let the authorities do it.
According to JR, he was advised by a police officer to stay away from the searches. If anything tied to Patty was found, he would not want his DNA anywhere near the crime scene. As the investigation continues, police must keep an open mind. They continue to question people Patty knew and chase down every possible lead, which brings them back to the Vaughn's property.
One of the leads that we received was that the body could be in a septic tank on the property. We obtained a search warrant, evidentiary search warrant for the property. And after searching, it was inconclusive. We searched and talked to neighbors and so forth. No one heard anything, no one saw anything.
But then, weeks after Patty disappears, one tip stands out among the rest. A call has come in referencing an elementary school that was being built around the Christmas holidays, 45 miles from Livernia in Pleasanton. The supervisor of the construction site was J.R. Vaughn.
Our office received information that Mr. Vaughn was a contractor, and they felt suspicious of some work that was being conducted right around the same time frame that this missing persons report came through.
We had found out where JR's job site was. And when we got there, there were some workers that were hired by JR that were pouring concrete, and they wanted us to go away.
We talked to a couple of employees who had said that JR had done something that was totally out of character for him, and said that he would oversee the concrete trucks in certain areas pouring the concrete.
The information was that Ms. Vaughn might be in a cement slab because they found it odd that they were pouring cement at a certain time frame, certain day.
JR denies these claims and says the pour dates had been scheduled well in advance and executed as planned. Close to 4 months after Patty's family finds out about the school construction site, investigators bring in the Texas Rangers and a team from Dallas to use ground-penetrating radar. They check for any anomalies in the concrete, and they find them.
We bored some holes in cement, had a cadaver dog out there, and at the time, the cadaver dog did not alert on any suspicious odors. So that kind of turned out at the time as an inconclusive search.
Patty's family is not convinced the search was done thoroughly. They believe there's a good chance Patty's body could still be there.
You're not going to destroy a multi-million-dollar project that the county and the citizens paid for, no matter how many bodies might be buried here.
Following the Pleasanton school search, the case of the missing mother goes cold. Eight years after Patty goes missing, JR files for her death certificate. JR says he had Patty pronounced deceased because by that time he was legally permitted to do so. But when Patty's family finds out, they are devastated and file a wrongful death suit against JR. At stake is the payout from Patty's life insurance policy. On December 8th, 2005, the case is resolved. The life insurance money goes to Patty's children, and all claims against JR are denied. This defeat does not stop Patty's family from looking for her. They have continued to follow every lead on their own dime.
Our last big search, we dug up a huge portion of a field that's soon to be used as a cemetery plot. The tip was the land had been leased by the construction company that Jared was working for to dump excess, like concrete and trash.
Sooner or later, we'll find her, we'll find out what happened to her. We won't stop until we do, though.
Detective Adrian Ramirez and his partner have the same zeal for solving Patty's disappearance. Now cold case homicide detectives, the duo inherited the case in 2007 when it was returned to Bexar County from Wilson County.
We are going to keep working. We will continue for the sake of Patty's children and her loved ones. We are going to solve this case.
Meanwhile, J.R. Vaughn says that by concentrating on him as Patty's killer, the investigation into his wife's disappearance has taken a wrong turn from the beginning, allowing the real killer to have gotten away with murder. Despite the rift that Patty's disappearance has caused, J.R. and her family can agree on one truth. They all deserve to know why Patty was taken from them that fateful Christmas day.
We may never have the answers, but it won't be for lack of us trying. Because Patty deserved so much more. She was such a good person, such a good mother, such a good niece, cousin, sister, friend.
Patty was the one that kept everybody together. She just wanted to make everybody happy, you know? She really did.
She had so much light in her, and she had so much to give. And I just can't imagine what her life would have become had she been allowed to live it.
दा तू गया माही जान माड़ी टंगी है, जदू दा तू गया माही जान माड़ी टंगी है, दुख माड़े बंडन वाला कोई भी ना सकिए, वो दुख माड़े बंडन वाला कोई भी ना सकिए। सारी सारी रात तेरी यादां विच लंघी है, सारी सारी रात तेरी यादां विच लंघी है। जीत जान में तेरे पीछे ठाड़ छोड़ी वे छेती कर आजा सोने माहिया, मैं हाँ तेरिया जुदाइयां दी मारी वे छेती कर आजा सोने माहिया, मुक गई मेरे बाला दी लाली वे छेती कर आजा सोने माहिया। हो रात तेरे तक तक अखियां में तकिया, रात तेरे तक तक अखियां में तकिया, तेरिया निशानियां में साम साम रखिया, ओ तेरिया निशानियां में साम साम रखिया। ओ कसम खुदा दी बहुओं की पसिया, कसम खुदा दी बहुओं की पसिया, तेरिया निशानियां में साम साम रखिया। ओ मार गए शबनम यो नमी जारी वे छेती कर आजा सोने माहिया, मार गए शबनम यो नमी जारी वे छेती कर आजा सोने माहिया, मैं हाँ तेरिया जुदाइयां दी मारी वे छेती कर आजा सोने माहिया, मुक गई मेरे बाला दी लाली वे छेती कर आजा सोने माहिया, वो छेती कर आजा सोने माहिया, वो छेती कर आजा